A big part of my spiritual journey has been learning to accept the way life goes and change and adapt to life and how life happens, because something I've heard for a long time is living life on life's terms, and that's really hard. My name is Dom Kelly. I'm a disability justice activist, organizer, nonprofit leader and founder, a musician, a writer, poet, and maybe most importantly, a husband and a father. I would describe myself as an empathetic person, somebody who cares about people, somebody who gives their whole heart to everything that they do, maybe a little bit of an overachiever. And somebody who, despite how much I might want to, can't turn off the pains of the world around me, and I allow it to drive me into action. So it could be a good and a bad thing for me. I feel the strongest sense of identity in being a father. I think I was born to be a dad. I love getting to see my child grow up and help shape how they grow up and who they are. And it's an amazing experience that I've always dreamed of. Since I could remember, I always wanted to be a dad, in particular a girl dad, although I would have been happy with whoever I got. It's something that I feel like, not to be conceited, but I'm just really good at being a dad. I know who I am and feel very confident in who I am as a partner to my wife, as a friend, as a sibling, and really who I am and how I show up in relationships. I feel a very strong sense of identity around my disability, which was not always the case for me, but I grew up disabled since I was born and really learned how to be proud of my disability identity and how empowering it could be even when it's difficult. So I do now feel a very strong sense of identity around my disability. I was born in 1991 in Valhalla, New York, which is the suburbs of New York City, Westchester Medical Center. My parents found out that there were 3 of us, but they actually believed there were 4 because my mom, they believe, miscarried early in the pregnancy. So it's actually very likely we were quadruplets. We were born 3.5 months premature, so we didn't cook for that long. I always describe my family life as happy chaos, because my parents had my younger brother when we were 3, so then all of a sudden they had 4 kids under 4. I will say for the 3 of us, we all sort of had different experiences, because there's actually not one person with cerebral palsy who has the same experience. It's very unique to each person. Mine was always considered to be like the most mild out of the 3 of us. For my identical brother, Sean, and myself, our CP mostly affects our legs. My brother Paul affected all 4 of his limbs, so he used a wheelchair full time. He had just started to use a walker not long before he died. He had trouble communicating verbally. He was brilliant, just beyond brilliant. We were 6 years old when he died. It was very sudden and unexpected, and I was a little kid, so I didn't understand everything. The pain of what came from that, my parents' grief and their anger, and just all of the stuff over the years after that, I think that was maybe what made me start to learn more about myself and learning to show up for life no matter what, no matter what we're given. But I didn't get there easily. It impacted me both positively and very negatively. But overall, just And even when my brother died, I think my parents worked really hard to give us a really good childhood and all the things that we were going through with our disability, and we were very tight as a family unit. They say it takes a village to raise a child. Like, my parents had a village, and really my mom just always had a huge network of people. So family-wise, and even my parents' friends, just a lot of love and support. I always had a lot of friends, and I also was really lucky to have disabled friends. Growing up, a lot of disabled kids don't have that experience, especially physically disabled kids. And then my mom also worked in this industry, so, and I was doing advocacy when I was 4 years old. So I was had a lot of disability community as well, which I think I'm very lucky to have had that, because that was really important to my upbringing. And I also was doing music at a very young age, so I had, friends and community there. I grew up at a theater and music school and dance school, so I started taking dance classes when I was 5 and danced till I was almost 18. And, I grew up at this dance school and theater, and really they were all family as well, and, did dance classes and shows, and, the theater community was my life too. So just a really, really supportive village growing up. I think what sort of set me on the path to what I do now, doing this movement work, was a couple of things. One was this being disabled and having to learn how to self-advocate. And my mom kind of, not forced, but didn't really give us an option when she put us in front, my triplet brothers and I, in front of a room full of high school seniors when we were 4 years old, and told us to tell our story. That kind of sparked something, and the advocacy and public speaking around disability started right then. So it's interesting because my career has been sort of all over the place. When I did music professionally, I think that started because of being a dancer and performer, and then also just growing up surrounded by music and art, and then realizing that I had some talent to be able to do it. As a young kid, that was all I wanted to do was be in a rock band. It was this desire to just do art full time, to get our music out there and have people listen and enjoy it and come to see us play live. We love playing live shows, to express ourselves, talk about being disabled, or talk about our brother who died, or whatever it was, through our music. So that was really, I think, where it started. The band I was in was with my younger brother and my identical brother, and a friend of mine who's basically our brother as well. And I was touring as a teenager, 14, 15 years old. We were homeschooled and we were touring. We would, do our advocacy along with our music. We were touring a lot and working a lot with the Indigo Girls, who are based here in Atlanta. They're the reason why I came to Atlanta. They married their music with activism. The advocacy was, inextricably linked to that, because we would write a song about we had a whole album called Tripping Over Nothing, which alludes to our experience having cerebral palsy, and because we just trip all the time and fall. It's a daily occurrence. That was an outlet for us to just talk about this lived experience and advocate, and people would, we would meet people on the road who had CP who would be I relate to this, and so I think that started that desire to connect with people in a different way outside of music. But it really did start with this, we're gonna have this career in music. My career took a bunch of different twists and turns after that, but I would say the Indigo Girls, Joan Baez, who we worked with as well, and a handful of other artists that I grew up not only listening to, but then getting to know them. They became mentors, and they really showed me that I can do both of those things. And then eventually I just really decided to put all of my time and energy and all of that into doing this work that I do now full time. I had been feeling a bit like music was maybe feeling more like a job than something I just wanted to do, that I felt inspired to do. I had been feeling like that for a while before I formally left. And I think I had always had other work. I went to college, I went to grad school. I was working in media. I had a master's in journalism, and I opened a recording studio, and I just started to feel like the movement work, the organizing, which I had been doing since I was like 17 or so, that felt like there's an opportunity for me to really devote more of my time to this, and maybe I can actually do this as a job and not just on the side or whatever. And I think I just started to feel like not as inspired. I wound up writing and putting out a solo record, which I never thought I would do. A bunch of songs came to me. I recorded them. I had my own studio at that point. We recorded them, got a bunch of friends to sing on it, and signed a deal with the label that my band was signed to, and put that record out and toured with Indigo Girls in support of it. And that was it was about 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. And I had this feeling that this was probably the last thing I was gonna do in music, or at least for a long time. And pretty much mostly retired from music once I did that. So I met my wife almost 10 years ago. I was living in Atlanta, and we met on a dating app, and I was about to give up on dating, and I was about to delete the app, and she was the first person that popped up, and I thought I'd scrolled through everybody, on the app at that point. And I messaged her and said, if I wake up and she doesn't message me back, I'm deleting the app. And I woke up and she had messaged me back. And I knew on the first date we were gonna get married. Never experienced that before. I thought when people said stuff like that, they were lying. But I knew it. She said it took her 2 dates for her to realize, for her to know that. But she came into my life at a time when my mom was very sick, and I lost my mom when I was 25, and that was very painful and different because I was an adult. It wasn't sudden. She was sick for almost a decade with cancer, and I was able to show up for that in a very different way. But it also impacted me. It had changed me in a lot of ways. It helped me look at the world in a different way. So she met my mom and had a relationship with her, and it was just a difficult moment for me, and she got to know my mom, and got to be there when my mom died, and so we really, I think that bonded us a lot. And then I think it's influenced my work. I mean, thankfully my wife and I are very aligned in our beliefs and what's important to us, and protested together many times. And she comes from a family where that is very encouraged, and not just encouraged, it is that's what you do. So then I started to organize in those spaces, and I always had this feeling like I was the only disabled person in the room, which I knew probably wasn't true. It started to make me think about, what do our movements need to make their work more accessible, their spaces more accessible? And then I really started to get more involved with the disability community. When I moved to Georgia, got involved with issues that were sort of at the intersection of disability and other identities and other issues. And that really was the catalyst for me to think about what do we need here in the South? What's missing from our movement infrastructure? And a big piece of that was there was not really disability justice work happening, at least connecting all of our states in the South. And so it started out as, I'm going to put together a coalition of disability orgs in 14 southern states so that they can better communicate and share resources and ideas, and we can start to see some progress through a regional lens, because we had so many problems that were the same in Georgia as in South Carolina and Texas, et cetera. And I thought like, well, if one state's doing something really well, we should learn from that in other states. And there was just not that connective work happening. So that was how it started. And I started to realize there were actually a lot of other things we could be doing through a regional lens that wasn't just connecting orgs and people. So that was really how New Disabled South started. And it was born from this organizing and realizing we needed more in our other movements. It took a couple of years to really get it off the ground. It was end of 2021, early 2022 that I started to think, well, I actually should do this, and didn't expect it to be a thing that I could do in scale, but sat down with somebody who I really loved and trusted, who worked for a funder who committed 2 years of funding to me on the spot. And I was in shock because that was not what I was expecting. And that kind of lit a fire under me, mostly because I was like, oh, I actually have to do this now. This isn't just an idea. And it's been a journey so far that I did not expect at all. And as much as we've been successful, it's also been challenging in this environment, in this time, to do this work that is impacting people's lives. I think that made me want to be more educated and commit more to my work being intersectional, because our work in New Disabled South is really we describe ourselves as an organization at the intersection of disability and racial justice, because most disabled people in the South are Black and brown, and you cannot disconnect those. Someone in my life recently was like, when you talk about these issues, how come you're always talking about it, about Black women or Black disabled women? I'm like, because I live in a house with 2 Black women who, because of a lot of ignorance and a lot of people like me, have to face a lot of things that I'll never have to face or understand. And I think any parent, and hopefully any partner, would want to fight for their family to have a better life. But it has really influenced my organizing, my parenting, my beliefs, my own spiritual journey, and made me feel even more confident and secure in who I am and what I believe and why I do this work, and how I show up for people, my people and communities I'm not a part of. And it's also helped me to be not afraid anymore of what if I say something and it upsets people, or they decide they don't want to give my organization funding or whatever that is. It feels like I'm willing to take more risks, so to speak, which in my view aren't risks. It's a luxury to be able to have a platform to say things. And then I think becoming a father changed pretty much everything for me, and would say that I was just telling my little brother this the other day, that I used to be very afraid of death. I'm just someone who has a lot of existential dread. I'm still very into emo music, but it's my teenage years, I was very emo. And so I just had a lot of existential dread and a lot of fear of death. And having a kid, I don't know what happened, but that is gone. Now I'm just terrified of everything that she does. Something is gonna, I'm terrified. Being a dad is terrifying sometimes, but having a child changed my whole perspective on life. And a lot of it was I think I thought about myself a lot more, and you're kind of forced in a way to not think about yourself. And now I am just whatever I have to do to, give my kid a good life. If that's maturity, or whatever that is what I think about. So, and she's 3 years old, and 3 years, that has completely changed who I am in so many ways. I think my goal, or my like North Star for me is like, how can I get to a place where I know what battles are worth fighting and what aren't, be able to show up for my daughter and my wife and my communities, because I'm saving my energy for that and not putting it all into fighting against things that I just don't like or don't want to happen when there's nothing I can do about them. That's the like real spiritual work for me. When I was younger, I thought if I say the things I want to say and do the things that I love and am authentic and I just am who I am, that will close doors for me. And in fact, it has opened them in ways I never imagined. I certainly wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now had I continued to like hide away or be, shy away from all of those things. And so, yeah, I would say like, be that person. Like, don't let the fear of all that stuff hold you back. My spiritual journey and, where am I on it? I feel like every day I'm in a different place. I think most days I feel like I can accept life on life's terms. Like I can show up for life as it comes to me, even when it's hard or unfair. I'm working to be able to be more present, to be kinder to myself, and to be more connected to and accepting of what is. That is like, when I think about like what I talked about with my spiritual journey and that being the through line for me, it is still a struggle for me to accept that there are a lot of things that I can't control. And I think this kind of painful moment that we're in, I see as an opportunity for myself to grow spiritually in that work. And so in the future, like, I want to be able to be in a place where I feel like I'm not accepting things that are not okay. I don't want to do that. But that I'm grounded enough spiritually to be able to save my energy for those fights and not fighting things that that I can't control and have there's nothing I could do about them. I think that'll help me to show up more for my family, for my community, and all the people in my life, if I can get to that place. That's my goal always, is just like, how can I just be more present and be more accepting of all the things. Today, and largely where I'm at, is like, I feel like I have a very solid spiritual foundation, and I feel like that drives so much of what I do in my work and outside of work, that I feel like on the journey I'm right now in this, at my age and where I'm at in my life, I'm in a good place on that journey.